For me, it doesn't really matter what the chart is. Okay. I have I think a fairly simple chart, and I do have moving averages on there. A lot of people like to use them. I use a 3 exponential moving average, an 8, and a 17. Those are my primaries for the very short term trend when they're spaced like this, basically like a road with the 8 being the middle of the road and the 3 and the 17 being the sides of the road. You could call it railroad tracks, but it's 3 instead of 2. It gives me an idea that we're in a trend, an established trend. When the 3 comes down, the trend is possibly changing. And when they get a crossover, they have changed. I have volume here, and I also have stochastics RSI. And this I use to help judge momentum. I call my EMAs training wheels to help judge the trend. I also have a 50 and a 200, and this dash line here is a 100-day simple moving average. So the 50, 100, and 200, and they're all simples. This is Stink or Swim. Now, I've got TC2000, but it doesn't show volume and price very well. I have it on the chart, but it's not all that good, and I'll show you the difference if you really want to know the difference that I see. This one, when I have a chart, if I have a chart up for 6 months, it takes all the volume at all the prices that have been traded at, and it plots the volume at every price level. So basically, the volume here around the bottom is every day, regardless of price. And the ones that are basically like skyscrapers sitting on their ends on the side, they're the price regardless of the day. So the volume that traded at a specific price. And the way I use this is when there is heavy volume, a big skyscraper at a certain level, it'll act as support or resistance. And we saw that here. And the reason I like to do Think or Swim is because when I zoom in, the skyscrapers didn't change. In TC2000, as soon as I zoom in, the volume at price levels change to only what you can see. My dogs are playing. I don't want them to come in and growl and disturb us there. Let me close the door. Okay, and then so what I've got here is I see a little bit of a void here. See where, let's grab this right here. You see how you've got your skyscraper here, and you got a skyscraper here. There was a smaller set of buildings, call it right here, and this acts as a bit of a void. That once we get below, say, this level here, let me try that again, clean it off. So once we went below this level here, day before yesterday, my inclination was that we weren't really going to get support till we got to around $210. So once we broke, say, the 216 or so right in here, that told me that unless something drastic happens, we're going to probably drop to the next level. Well, for those that were in the pre-market, even though yesterday was a very, very large green candle, I said that the short-term trend, the 3 is under the 8, which is under the 17. Right, paper trading with TOS is great. Um, in fact, paper trading with anything new, either a strategy or a system till you learn it, is the right way to go. But right in here, I said even before today that we would have to get up over the T line or the 17 and more than likely $218 before I really think that we've held. We basically blew through the the 50, down to the 100 yesterday morning, gap down, and we came back up to the 50, stop. Now, whether it was a pause in the same and go the other direction or a stop and reversal, and of course we got the answer today. Now we basically have the let me back up a little bit. This was down on huge volume. Yesterday was up on pretty decent volume, but it wasn't as large as the one before. But my stochastic is still pointing down. In fact, this magenta line was starting to curl up, but hadn't crossed. Most of the time, when we're going to hit a bottom, we're going to get below, say, about the 20 level on my stochastics RSI. Not always, and it can stay oversold or overbought longer than I can stay solvent. But it gives me an indication where momentum is. Momentum is still going to the downside here. So the three EMAs are pointing to the downside. The candle now is also pointing to the downside. This one basically, today's price movement and the close basically negated all, if not most of, or most if not all, of yesterday's green candle. And I mentioned that in passing this morning that, and even after Rick came on, that yesterday was just an up day and a downtrend. Okay, so what I do is I will look, see where these things are, and that helps me judge where we've traded the most. So this will act as support about $208.50, somewhere in this area, between 210 and 207. I don't know exactly where. I just have to be aware of it. Now let me go. I look at the German DAX to see how we're going to open. And they opened up a little bit to catch up with us and then traded off. Let's see. I look at crude oil. I said that we were in a downtrend even though we had a green candle yesterday. Same thing. We're making, and then the other thing is, made a lower high. So this is a downtrend we broke. We got up to a prior level right in here. If you look at the volume and price, we got up to a little spike level, and it's also pretty much the highs here. And the bodies, not the wicks, highs of this body, and couldn't get over it. So this tells me that we're probably going to get a short-term trend change. We need to make sure that we don't go below, I'll call it 43.5 to 42.75, or we're going to be back in a more major downtrend. And part of the reason I'm saying that we are going to come back towards this 42.75 is my stochastics RSI is solidly down now. So we came off the high pretty hard. We did what amounts to an indecisive candle, and yet today was our day to resume the uptrend, but we didn't do it. Do you have any stocks that you're looking at, Steve, that your volume and price would maybe help at all, you're interested in? See, I'm seeing volume and price on British Peat. What are we looking at? Genworth, when it reported its earnings and it popped up, the reason this acted as resistance level is that we had all this over here, all this buying. Those were built-in sellers. Because all the way down in here, people who bought in the first place back in May were underwater. As soon as they got to even, they said, "Thank you, Lord, I will never do that again." But that's just, I think you're going to find that you will take bits and pieces from various and sundry places, and you'll put things together that make sense to you and work for you, that speak to you, and it'll be different than everybody else. So don't try to copy what others do, but try to either incorporate bits and pieces of what they do or not. Say, oh, I don't like that, or I do that. So I've stolen bits from Rick and from Stephen Bigelow and some other people that I've listened to and saw what they did, and then I've added a few things of my own, and it becomes mine, and I own it, and I believe in it, and it works for me. So it'll take time, trust me, but go slow, and it'll come in time. All right, unless you have any more questions, I'm going to get off the mic. And Jim, did I answer your question? I kind of skipped over it. How far does TOS go back? It goes back to whatever so now I've gone back to a year on Genworth. Magic has how we went up to this prior level over here. I mean, you never know how solid a level of resistance is, because you'd see a lot of candles, but if there's not much traded there, it'll probably blow through it like a hot knife through butter. But before we got to where we are the last week or so, there was a significant amount of volume from back over here to the left. Now, if I wanted to make it, was that a year that I was at? Yeah. If I go to Style, Daily, 2-year, Daily. There's the levels, and they jump out at you. If we can get up over this level here for about $5.25 to $5.50, we're going to run to $8. And yeah, it does. It speaks volumes to me. And even though you've got candles here that show there was trading there, two things tell me that this is back over here is not going to act as big resistance. First of all, a gap down. No trades in there. Then it was a huge candle that moved from $6.50 to $5.50. It's only $1, Steve. Well, yeah, it is, but on a percentage basis, it's quite a bit. It's over 10%. So then, there wasn't a whole lot of trading there, so it should be able to eat this up if it starts going up higher. Yeah, absolutely. What is the setting with the skyscraper volume? Okay, let me see if I can remember how to do that. Yep, absolutely, Jim. If there wasn't a whole lot of trading there, it didn't build up a lot of volume, and hence you don't have a lot of built-in support or resistance. Okay, under studies, add study. Let me try all studies. They call it a volume profile. Okay. And when you do it and you put it on there, it shows on the right-hand side of the chart. And I go, that ain't useful. That's not useful at all. Let's see, studies. I'm going to edit studies. And I'm going to take that one off. Okay, and I'm going to go edit this one and show you what you have to do. And I have to think, who's the redheaded lady from TOS? Oh, gosh, I can see your face right now. I can share the setup here for folks if they want. I put opacity in the value area percent. Okay, and then I think it's on expansion has to be no. Yeah, okay, it's the on expansion. And once you do that, it moves from over here on the right-hand side, overlapping the chart. And that's the way I want to see it. If you like it over here to the side because you want a cleaner chart, I can understand that. You're welcome, Ross. Now, keep the opacity down so you're focusing on the chart, the price, the candles first. So you got to look through it. Notice that the candles jump out at me. I mean, maybe on your screen it's a little bit different, but the opacity could be a little bit less. But I had to bring it up a little bit so it would come through on the projection. Let's see. Nope, I didn't mean that. Set up. I don't want to share a workspace. I want to share an item. Nope. All right, I'll figure it out. I'm gonna put it out there in just a second. Steve, give me a second. I'll come off the mic while I try to figure out how I did that sharing. Okay, here it is. Share the chart. I don't know why it. Okay. Okay. Let's see what we do here. I think that should do it. And what that'll do is that should share my chart. And I think all the settings will be there. I'm in simulated mode right now. I may have to go into my live mode to share it properly. Let me know. Okay. And to import, set up, open shared item, preview it, and it shows the chart. That's not the chart that I was really showing. Okay. Let's back off. So let's do share an item. Right, thank you. This one says that it'd be that one. So hogs, cost setup. Try that again. May have to try this other one. Okay, that's cool, Ross. Now, it may or may not be what you like. Some of it you may like. You may or may not like the 3. I mean, Stephen Bigelow used to use the 2, and Rick, I think, uses the 2. It's too fast for me. It flip-flops like crazy. The 3, that one extra day causes a smoothing effect on on that moving average, so I don't get herky-jerky one-day movements to cause me to freak out. I like the T-line. I used to use the 9, but I've gone to the 8 primarily because the 8 and 9 EMAs are going to be pretty darn close to being the same. And I don't have to answer questions about why I use the 9 over the 8. It's basically, and I use moving averages to help visualize the trend. The trend here is up, 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 up. Even though this one went sideways and didn't work, the trend was still up. It was consolidating. Why? Because of here. Because all that resistance over there, I was chewing through it. This was bullish. It was consolidating near the top. High and tight. Notice what my stochastics were doing here. They kind of went sideways, sideways, and they rolled down, 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 and then all of a sudden it curled right back up. It curled back what? Wait a minute, Steve. You said that it likes to go down to the 20. Yes. There's also one that makes it only go down to the halfway point. Ones that go to the halfway point and start breaking out again, they're uber strong. They're the strongest of the strong do that. Well, actually, the strongest of the strong never pull back. They just stay at the top. So this right here, right back in this area, stayed near the top. And then broke out again. And in this area right in here, around the middle of August, that doesn't go back far enough. Let's go style, intraday, 30-day, 1 hour. And you can see right in here how it's stepping up, zoomed up. This is pre-market. Ignore those. Boom, side, side, consolidation. March to move up, go sideways, march up, sideways, gap up, sideways, and then up, up. And basically it's marching up the 8 EMA. Now, you guys are going to ask, why do you use the 17 instead of the 20? I don't know. I've always used the 17. It works for me, and I refuse to change. I used to use the 20. I used to use the 13. I tried it. The 17 seems to be smooth enough, but also reactive enough. That's why I use an exponential versus a 20 simple. Put the 20 simple up, it's kind of the same, but if you get big movements, like in here, it won't really reflect that much. Yeah, it's a little faster. Well, and how did I come up with the 100? I saw someone plotting the 100 at a free webinar I went out there. And so I plotted it on the chart in TC2000. And I left it on there, kind of by mistake. And I suddenly realized when I was looking at the rounded bottom breakouts that a lot of them sat there and paused at the, let me go out there and turn TC2000 on. Okay. You have to give me a second while it boots up. I turned it off. Okay. Let's see if we have any rounded bottom breakouts. Okay. All right. Coca-Cola Enterprises. Back a few days ago, you know, it was sitting right in here, and it had a difference of 18%. Well, that 18% is a long distance. You notice the 100 is just about halfway between the two. It's halfway between this $40 level. And go, I wonder what happens. Well, it just so happens that stocks go up at or near that 100 and seem to pause. I go, well, the 100 isn't stopping it. Moving averages don't stop anything. Maybe there will be a minor adjustment for the 50 or the 200. But if the stock wants to go up or down, it's going to go through those averages. It'll eat through those. For me, I look and see at this level, is there anything back to the left? And in fact, close to the left here was this 4065, 4075 level, and it's slightly over here. It's really price and volume. We got up close to the 100 and we pulled back. But I use that and I look at it now. CBI, the 100 would be a target for me. What is that? That's about $17. That's about where this is here. That's where we're probably going to go. Somewhere around 17. eBay, when it was back over here, it gapped up in one day, but it got up to about the 100, but that was also right over here about 23 and a quarter to 23 and a half. Shit. Let's look. People could have looked at this one back here and said, oh, it's got a long distance between that. Well, it's got resistance here, right about what the 100 is, and it wasn't halfway between. So you could probably see that one. You can see a lot of them. And it doesn't work for all of them. It just works for some. Synaptics. Once it got up to here, I looked at this, looked over here. I thought it was going to probably pull back. Where is the import button? It's under Setup, Open Shared Item. Okay. You'll find that this room, unlike almost any other that I've ever been in, people are more than willing to share. Because we had people help us along the way. We helped each other. I think GS Mike and Goofy Golfer and I have been together since the late 90s. So we're getting close to, getting close to 20 years, dude? 15 at least. He's put up with me for that long. It's an amazing thing that he's done. Got more stamina than most people that I know of. Anyway, that's kind of one of the couple of other things. You guys have any other questions while I'm still here? Great. So you're recruiting people, right? I think there's one. That's great. I mean, it's especially your friends. I mean, I was able to help recruit a couple of friends to come over here. All right. If you guys don't have anything else, I'll come off the mic and I'll stop shooting my mouth off. All right. Take care.